Have you ever wondered why so many doctors and specialists rarely mention the ideal diet for scleroderma? In this video, I'm going to break down the best dietary practices for managing scleroderma from the perspective of a surgeon and gut microbiome expert. Over the past decade, I've worked closely with patients dealing with scleroderma, and the insights I'm about to share with you will be a game changer if you're struggling with symptoms like skin tightening, digestive issues, or joint pain. These tips are designed to provide real practical solutions, so stick around, you don't want to miss this. Hi, I'm Dr. Chanu Dasari, a surgeon focused on reversing inflammation driven by gut microbiome imbalances. Over the past 12 years, I've refined a method called the mind-gut immunity approach, which has helped thousands of patients overcome autoimmune disease and connective tissue disorders without relying on medications. You might find this surprising, but when you view autoimmune inflammation through the lens of gut health, it becomes clear that gut microbiome dysfunction is often the root cause of conditions like scleroderma. If you're curious about how we approach this and want to hear real success stories, click on the link in the description below or visit mgiclinic.com to schedule a discovery call with me. I'll share some practical tips to help you get started. Let's dive in. Here's a 2023 study that examines the link between gut microbiota and GI symptoms in scleroderma, finding that patients with severe symptoms had lower species diversity and higher levels of harmful bacteria. Here's a 2017 study that looks at how a specific nutritional therapy can help people with scleroderma reduce symptoms and make a positive difference in managing digestive problems and muscle loss. Here's a 2021 study that examines the nutritional challenges faced by patients with scleroderma and highlights the value of tailored nutritional plans given the significant links between diet, disease severity, and malnutrition risk. In this video, we're diving deep into the ideal diet for managing scleroderma, whether you're dealing with chronic symptoms like skin tightening and joint pain or navigating digestive issues that often come with the condition. Discovering the right foods can be tough, especially if you're trying to avoid heavy medications or immunosuppressants like corticosteroids. Over the years, I've worked with numerous patients who have successfully reduced scleroderma symptoms and improved their quality of life by focusing on nutritional and gut health. But what makes my approach different? Well, many specialists will tell you that scleroderma is something that you just have to live with, managing symptoms as they come. From both a research and a clinical experience, I can confidently say that a lot of this advice is incomplete. In this video, I'll share with you the best dietary strategies for managing scleroderma, common mistakes to avoid, and how to take control of your health journey. Okay, my first major point is the importance of phytonutrients. There's plenty of research highlighting the critical role phytonutrients play in managing and healing scleroderma. Here's a 2023 study that looks at the gut microbiome, dysbiosis, and potential interventions based on prebiotics and focused probiotics and dietary modifications in the treatment of scleroderma. Here's a 2024 study that looked at particular herbs with polyphenols for treating skin conditions. There's well-documented anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. Here's another study from 2023 looking at polyphenols in scleroderma, revealing its ability to reduce fibrosis and inflammation. There are countless studies just like these showing the impact of phytonutrients on overall health and inflammation, especially in conditions like scleroderma. I could easily spend hours diving into the science behind each and every one of these particular chemicals, but let me just give you a quick rundown of what really matters. Phytonutrients are powerful plant compounds found in foods like fruits, vegetables, and herbs that have a significant impact on reducing inflammation. These include antioxidants, flavonoids, and other micronutrients that play a critical role in skin and connective tissue health. When it comes to scleroderma, optimizing your intake of these phytonutrients can be transformative in managing symptoms like skin tightness, joint pain, and digestive issues. Phytonutrients are grouped into several key categories. You have terpenes, phenols, polyphenols, prebiotics, among others. Each of these groups helps your body combat inflammation and support healthy tissue function. Unfortunately, people with scleroderma have deficiencies in these essential compounds, which can disrupt the balance between the skin, the gut, and the immune system, leading to more pronounced problems. The goal is always to maximize and diversify your phytonutrient intake from everyday foods. And by doing this, you can provide your body with the tools that it needs to combat the root causes of scleroderma. A diet low in phytonutrients leaves you vulnerable to chronic inflammation, more severe flare-ups, and ongoing tissue damage. On the flip side, a diet rich in these compounds can naturally help you reduce inflammation and promote tissue healing. That's why I'm such a big fan of the PhytoDiet. I highly recommend incorporating phytonutrients into every single meal. Think of each meal as an opportunity to nourish your skin, heal your gut, and support your immune system. This is especially important for those struggling with scleroderma because the right foods can help balance your gut microbiome, which directly influences your immune response and connective tissue health. The takeaway here is simple. Phytonutrients are key players in modulating your body's inflammatory response, giving you a better chance of effectively managing scleroderma. If your diet is lacking these compounds, it's no surprise that your symptoms will persist. A healthy gut microbiome is crucial for fighting inflammation and supporting tissue repair, and phytonutrients are a big part of achieving that balance. Here's the second point, nutritional needs and macro counting. In recent years, intermittent fasting has gained a lot of attention as a strategy for reducing inflammation. But I'm here to tell you, it's not all that it's cracked up to be, especially when it comes to autoimmune conditions like scleroderma. Fasting for extended periods of time can do more harm than good. In fact, a recent 2024 study shows that intermittent fasting increases the risk of cardiac death by an alarming 91%. People are literally dropping dead by not eating. Yet there are still plenty of people, even those struggling with scleroderma, who believe that fasting is the answer. Sure, in the short term, skipping meals might seem helpful because you're not feeding the pro-inflammatory bacteria in your gut, but as the weeks and months go by, new problems start to emerge. You'll get muscle loss and weight loss. You'll get thyroid dysfunction. You'll have elevated stress hormones like cortisol. You'll get sleep disturbances. You'll also have nutritional deficiencies that slow down the healing process. You'll have digestive issues and severe and ongoing fatigue, bloating, decrease in appetite. Even when these problems develop and you start eating more, that can be a challenge. You may feel bloated, gassy, lethargic, and low in energy after you eat meals. And these symptoms can deter you from eating adequately in the future, creating a vicious cycle that's difficult to break, especially if you're underweight. Being underweight with a body mass index of 18 or lower can be particularly problematic. You can easily calculate your BMI using a BMI calculator like we have on our website by entering in your height and your weight. If your BMI is below 18 and you have scleroderma, you're at serious risk. And I've treated patients with BMI as low as 13, which can be very severe. When you have a low BMI and scleroderma, it means your body is in a catabolic state, breaking down protein rather than building it up, which makes it harder for your tissues to heal. The solution to managing scleroderma and fixing your gut microbiome isn't to avoid food. It's to address the inflammation first and then maintain a balanced, nourishing diet. Unfortunately, many people give up on finding the right foods for the condition and end up skipping meals altogether, which just makes things worse. So when it comes to figuring out the ideal macronutrient balance for scleroderma, we're focusing on fats, carbs, and proteins. If reducing inflammation is your goal, I recommend getting about 50% of your daily calories from fat, 25% from carbs, and 25% from proteins. While this ratio isn't backed by specific studies, it's based on my own experience working with countless people who have seen positive results. If you're looking to lose weight, reducing carbs and fats while increasing protein can be effective. On the other hand, if you need to gain weight, increasing your overall calories and finding a better balance between carbs and fats is key. Tracking these macronutrients might take some effort, but it's worth it. By dialing in your nutrition, you can significantly improve your skin and connective tissue health, as well as your overall well-being in the long run. The balance of macronutrients, fats, carbs, and proteins plays a critical role in your gut microbiome, which directly impacts how well you manage scleroderma. The microbes in your gut thrive on sugars, starches, and fibers, all of which are carbohydrates. And here's the tricky part. Simple sugars like glucose and fructose feed harmful bacteria and fungi, worsening inflammation and aggravating scleroderma symptoms. Processed starches like those found in refined flours can do the same. But on the other hand, when you have complex or resistant starches or fiber, you can selectively encourage good bacteria to thrive. I get it, this sounds complicated, and you might just be wondering, why not just eliminate carbs altogether? Well, there are some people that buy into the carnivore diet. This diet is essentially all meat, no fiber whatsoever, and includes some electrolytes. You have red meat, white meat, organ meats, fish and seafood, animal fats, and eggs. The diet cuts out all carbs, including fiber, lactose, starches, and sugars if you're doing it properly. Unlike keto or low-carb diets that might still include some problematic carbs, a strict carnivore approach eliminates them entirely. When followed strictly, the carnivore diet removes all sources of dairy and fiber, creating a gut environment where harmful bacteria struggle to survive due to the lack of sugar, carbs, and fiber to feed on. This approach can be particularly effective during scleroderma flare-ups when inflammation is at its peak. But here's the catch. While the carnivore diet can be useful for short-term relief, it's not necessarily sustainable for everyone in the long run. The original paleo diet, which eventually evolved into the carnivore diet, was more plant-focused with occasional meat aligning better with the phytonutrient-rich diet I typically recommend. So while going carnivore might help reduce inflammation during a flare, it will not be the best long-term strategy for maintaining a healthy gut microbiome. And I've covered this topic more in detail in another video, so be sure to check that out if you're interested. Beyond carnivore, there are other diets that focus on cutting out specific carbs to help manage inflammation. One option some people explore is the specific carbohydrate diet, the SCD diet. The SCD aims to reduce inflammation by eliminating types of carbs that are difficult to digest and often ferment in the gut, leading to bacterial overgrowth. The SCD eliminates complex carbs like disaccharides and polysaccharides, which can contribute to gut imbalances and flare-ups. I've actually put together a video comparing the SCD with a phytonutrient-rich diet that I recommend using for managing scleroderma. In my experience, it's far more effective to address gut microbiome issues with targeted probiotics and support them with a diverse range of phytonutrients. The SCD diet lacks the precision needed and often delivers inconsistent results in my opinion. Another diet that often comes up for managing gut-related conditions like scleroderma is the Low FODMAP diet. This diet is specifically designed to limit certain fermentable carbohydrates that can trigger gut inflammation and discomfort. Let me break it down for you. During the elimination phase, you will exclude high FODMAP foods. These can include things like apples, pears, mangoes, and cherries, but also things like garlic, onions, cauliflower, mushrooms, and beans and lentils. Most dairy products are also off the table. FODMAPs are short-chain carbohydrates and sugar alcohols that are poorly absorbed in the small intestine, leading to fermentation and gut issues. The fermentable oligosaccharides are found in foods like wheat and onions and garlic, and they're present in lactose-containing foods like milk and yogurt in the form of disaccharides. You can also have monosaccharides found in fructose-rich foods like apples and honey, and polyols, which are sugar alcohols, and certain fruits like cherries and plums have a lot of these. During the reintroduction phase, you slowly reintroduce some of these items and see what specific triggers and tolerance you see. You might be wondering, with so many diets that restrict carbs and fiber, which ones actually work for inflammation in the gut microbiome? The issue with many of these diets is that they don't directly address the root cause, which is gut microbiome dysfunction. At the core, you have bacteria that process carbs, leading to an overgrowth in the production of harmful byproducts. This overgrowth is common in conditions like SIBO and Candida, resulting in elevated histamine levels. You get inflammatory cytokines and symptoms like bloating, fatigue, brain fog, lethargy, symptoms I've discussed in my other videos. So far, the diets that I've discussed address the carbohydrate, sugar, and fiber components, but they don't tackle the root cause of the problem, and the long-term issue is gut microbiome health. Essentially, these diets are temporary fixes that delay the real issue, kicking the can down the road. Third point, the ideal scleroderma diet should be microbiome specific. Simply avoiding carbs doesn't address the root cause, gut microbiome dysfunction. The only way to effectively manage this is through targeted phytonutrients and specialized precision probiotic formulations. Creating the perfect phyto diet requires a strategic approach and a deep understanding of gut health. This is where the mind-gut immunity approach shines. We start by recalibrating the gut microbiome with precision probiotics, and these aren't your average store-bought probiotics. They're clinically backed and designed specifically for gut-related issues. You don't need a high CFU count, multiple strains, or refrigeration. All you need are 4 precise strains that establish a protective biofilm in the gut, helping to keep harmful bacteria in check. To maintain these healthy colonies, phytonutrients are key, and they're predominantly found in plant-based foods, inflammatory foods, and complex protein theory. Certain foods can also trigger immune responses, leading to inflammation. For instance, some complex proteins may provoke flare-ups, so it's wise to be cautious with them. However, it's easy to take these dietary approaches too far. Take, for example, a vegan or strictly plant-based diet. While it can be beneficial, it can also be too extreme for some people. The vegan diet is a plant-exclusive regimen that excludes all animal products, including meat, dairy, eggs, and honey. It focuses on a variety of plant-based foods to meet nutritional needs. The biggest issue I see is that many people don't consume enough protein, leading to protein-calorie malnutrition, a serious problem when you're trying to heal inflammation, especially in the gut. Your body needs amino acids, and protein should make up roughly 25% of your daily intake of calories. Another pitfall is relying too heavily on vegan or plant-based foods that are often loaded with unhealthy processed ingredients like fake meats, fake cheeses, and additives with harmful chemicals. This approach doesn't deliver the results that my clients need. The Mediterranean diet is based on traditional eating practices of countries across the Mediterranean Sea, and it focuses on whole, unprocessed foods, prioritizing plant-based ingredients, healthy fats, and lean proteins. The nice thing is that omega fatty acids are emphasized in the form of fresh fish, and you also have a large amount of herbs and tea as part of this regimen. The herbs in the tea also have a lot of phytonutrients, which are very helpful for modulating the immune response. Now, one limitation of the Mediterranean diet is that it doesn't provide a reliable way to track your phytonutrient intake. Additionally, it's crucial that 50% of your daily calories come from omega fats, which are essential for gut microbiome health. While the Mediterranean diet features many beneficial foods, the inconsistency in nutritional tracking can lead to imbalances that hinder progress. For my clients, we use a more precise approach by focusing on phytonutrient-rich diets. We meticulously track carbs, fats, and proteins, and micronutrients daily to ensure that the diet is fully supporting and optimizing the gut microbiome. This level of precision is essential for effectively managing autoimmune inflammation and promoting long-term healing. Okay, the last concept is understanding and tracking your individual food sensitivities. When it comes to managing scleroderma, the right diet must consider your personal food triggers. And I have an entire video dedicated to food sensitivity testing for scleroderma, covering which tests are more effective and how to interpret the results. It's crucial for any diet to address personal food aversions, sensitivities, and allergies. The simplest and most effective way to track these triggers is by keeping a food diary. And I know that seems a little bit tedious, but it's pretty much non-negotiable step for all of our clients. One thing to keep in mind is that when you're experiencing a flare-up, almost every food might seem like an issue. However, as you heal, you may find that you tolerate foods that were previously problematic. This is why it's important to regularly monitor and update your food sensitivities, because they can change over time as your condition improves. The different types of food sensitivity tests fall into 4 broad categories. You have the classic skin prick test at your allergist's office. Then you have the serum IgE test, which tests for allergies. You can also have a blood IgG4 test, which tests for sensitivities. And the newest test is called a serum mediator release test. I frequently review these test results for clients, guiding them through what findings mean for their diet and overall health. If you're interested in taking a deeper dive into interpreting food sensitivity tests for scleroderma, I've got a detailed video on that topic as well. In it, I cover the different types of tests, their advantages and disadvantages, and the best times to get tested. For instance, it's not usually ideal to test during a flare due to the high likelihood of false positives. Testing when you are in a more stable condition provides a clearer picture of what's truly causing the sensitivities. The AIP diet is designed to help manage autoimmune diseases by reducing inflammation and promoting gut health. It's a stricter version of the paleo diet and focuses on eliminating potential dietary triggers of inflammation and autoimmunity. The diet typically progresses through several phases. First, you have an elimination phase where you're eliminating all the foods that may cause inflammation or immune reactions. These can include things like grains, legumes, dairy, eggs, nuts, seeds, nightshades. And then you have a reintroduction phase where you gradually reintroduce these eliminated foods one by one to identify which triggers are present for your symptoms. And this helps personalize the diet to each individual person. Then there's a maintenance phase where you can maintain a diet and avoid the triggers while focusing on nutrient-dense anti-inflammatory foods. Same is also true for a low histamine diet. The only reason I'm mentioning it here is that it often makes its way into conversations about inflammation. And the idea here is that you avoid foods that trigger histamine commonly. But as I mentioned previously, the gut microbiome is the main producer of histamine in the body. So things like bacteria, candida, and SIBO are all things that need to be addressed. The low histamine diet spends a lot of time trying to avoid common trigger foods, but it doesn't address the gut microbiome component, and it's not specific to each individual since every person has different triggers. I have several videos comparing the phytonutrient diet to each of the individual diets I mentioned here today. So check out the description below to see those videos because I go way in depth into some of these diets and why they fail and what you can look out for. Like aged cheeses, fermented foods, processed meats, alcohol, vinegar, certain fish, and avoiding histamine liberators, which are foods that release histamine stored inside of it. which means avoiding foods that release histamine stored in the body, such as tomatoes, strawberries, eggplants, spinach, avocados, certain nuts. And then you also want to avoid foods that have biogenic amines, and these are things like bananas, chocolates, and certain citrus food. These inhibit histamine degradation. At the Mind Gut Immunity Clinic, we spend considerable time developing custom plans for each individual based on these principles. We also provide coaching to ensure accountability and compliance, which is why we achieve consistently great results compared to practices focusing solely on medication. We teach people how to manage their condition from home, offering meal plans, food guides, recipes, and grocery lists. This support ensures our clients are never lost and can manage their condition effectively from anywhere. If you struggle with scleroderma and you found that certain foods that help, or maybe certain foods that worsen your symptoms, comment below. I would love to hear about your own experiences. That wraps up this session. Be sure to check out my other videos comparing different diets to the PhytoDiet and see how they measure up. If you found this video helpful, please share it with others, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. This is Dr. Dasari with the Mind Gut Immunity Clinic. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.